So I'm sure it'll kick in shortly, so we'll get back to it. But there are 5 different styles of buyer consultations right now. You go into command. On the left-hand side, you have all the icons, right? You can either hover over them to see which one is designs, or if you click on the top at the red KW, it opens it up with all the names, whatever's easier for you. You're gonna click on designs, and that's going to open up the options. If you've never been in there before, it's empty, but if you've played around in there before, all the designs that you've created will just be there. The lower right-hand corner, there's a big teal button with a plus. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to click on print, because another window opens up that gives you the option of like social media posts, print advertising, emails, and so forth. You're going to click on print, and then a new menu opens up. On the left-hand margin there, again, you're going to click on buyers, and then you're going to click on buyer presentation. Then you're going to have, let me see if it's worked. Then you're going to be able to select, come on. See, I told you guys I'm not the IT person. I'm really struggling with so much here today. Oh, all right, now my command is working. Oh, we're going to get to it. Now let's see. The key is going to be if designs works for me today. All right, so see over here, we've got designs on the left. I click on designs. I click. All right. I feel like I have to entertain you while I'm waiting for my screen to load. Okay, I didn't, okay. Designs, try this. Oh, yay. So now you see what's loading is all the different designs that I have played around with. On the bottom here, you see that big teal button I told you about with the plus. And now this, create a design. You can do an email, social, print, video, or import a PDF. I'm gonna click print. And then next. Sometimes you learn more when things don't work the right way, right? That's what I'm here to show you. All right, we're getting there. All right, so over here you see buyer. I'm going to click on buyer and then buyer presentation. And there's 5 different ones in here. Let's pick another one that I've never used this one. So I'm going to click on this one. You just click on use and it opens it up. So while this is loading, your buyers have met you, right? You've decided to meet 11 o'clock on Saturday. So your buyers have come to the office. You've gotten them set up in the conference room, gotten them something to drink. If you have, I think most conference rooms will have like a smart TV or something that you can either cast on, or you have a smart TV like a keyboard and mouse that you can put up on the television. You can either put up the presentation or you can wait and put your MLS information up there later. I bring out this consultation book. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. You can do one every time you have a new buyer and personalize it. Or you can create one that's generic and then just have several printed out. I call it the grab and go. My buyer consultation is not personalized for every buyer. Think about it. When you start to get really busy, what if you get 5 new buyers in a week, or maybe even if you're only doing 2 or 3 new buyer consultations in a week? Do you want to go and get these things printed out? It's time consuming. So I get like 5 or 6 printed out at the same time, and I keep it in my file cabinet. When I have one, I just pull it, grab it, and go. So, but either way is fine. And this is a consultation that my buyers take with them. Remember, you're not reading every word. They're talking points. You're going to open pages. You're going to know this consultation so good. You're going to know what's on that page. You're going to be able to speak on that and then turn the page. You're going to leave this with them so that when they get home, they're excited about their new venture, right? Their new adventure of purchasing a home. They're going to read through this again. They're going to read it when they're having their coffee or when they're sitting down after dinner. So you'll want to make sure that all the information is in there, but you're not going to read every word. So I'm going to add this. I'm just going to show you very quickly. Boom. This is the first page, your guide to home ownership, everything you need to know about buying a home, first name, last name, if you wanted to personalize it. Otherwise, you can put your first name and last name, add your photo, your market centers information, and your contact information here. This could be your cover page. Again, when you take that class, you'll be able to do that. This next page is not a page that you're going to print, it's instructions. So know that. And here's another page that could be your cover page. Okay. What's going on here? So I want to add this. I'm going to click add a new page. This is your table of contents that just says what's in the consultation. This is just a little intro page, right? Investing in the home is one of the most important decisions you'll make, so much more than a roof over your head, your home where you're, I'm not going to read that to them, right? This is just saying, you know, congratulations on making the decision to purchase a home. And today we're going to cover all aspects of that so that you're comfortable. You could say anything you want to. They're going to read that later. Your needs come first. So this is where we start diving into asking some questions. Asking questions is hands down the best way to help buyers and sellers. You're going to do some talking, but boy, you're going to ask a lot more questions and listen more than you're going to talk. And that's what's going to make you a really good buyer's agent here. So your needs come first. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I really need to know a lot about not just the house that you're looking for, but what your lifestyle is. So I'm going to ask you a lot of different questions. Your needs comes first to me. What's the one thing that has to happen to make that a dream scenario come true? So I want you to think about best case scenario, like what is your dream scenario for purchasing a home? What's the one thing that has to happen in order to make this a success for you? And then stop talking. What do you think are some answers you might get from a prospective buyer?
Getting the house that they wanted that they put the offer on.
Yeah, I want to get the house that I want. I heard it's really competitive out there. I'm really worried that we're not going to get the house that we really want. What else do you think you might hear?
A lot of buyers will just right away come out with, we want this many bedrooms, this size yard, you know, just a few points like that.
Yep. So what I'm hearing, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is these are your must-haves. These are the things that you must have that it's really important to find. Okay.
Might want things they're trying to avoid.
Some things that we want to avoid. Yeah, we don't want this. Okay. So what has to happen to be a dream scenario? I want to be in this particular town, or I want to be moved in before school starts.
Physical aspects.
Physical aspects. What about, I don't want to spend more than what our budget is. I know that we're approved for more. I don't want to spend that much money. I want to get a house with a payment that I'm comfortable with. Every buyer is going to have something different, and you're going to write down what that is. And then you're going to be mindful of that throughout the transaction. This is what's important. They're telling you what's important to them. So this is a great page to start with, a great conversation to start with. Next page. Now remember, I haven't seen this one yet. Let's see. Build your preference profile. Okay, perfect. So each one of these consultations, so really what you're looking for is a look that you like, because the content is pretty much the same. So I am sitting down with my buyers and I'm going to ask them, I'm going to start asking them questions. Who's going to be the main contact? Before we go anywhere, I need to know who is my main contact. So when you have two people purchasing a home, one is usually the decision maker, right? It's just the dynamics of relationships, whatever those are, whether they're spouses, whether they're in a relationship, or even if they're relatives. You know, maybe you have siblings buying a house together. Usually there's one person that's the main decision maker. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the person you're going to have the most contact with, though.
Rose,
Go ahead.
so are some of these pages going to go with the client and some of them going to go back with you, like this page here? You're gonna have this in your presentation, but some of it you're taking back with you.
Yeah. So good point. So when we get to this home wish list, I'm going to touch on that. In my personal presentation, I don't print all of these out in the presentation. So I'm asking questions, and then you're going to, if I'm writing them down, you're going to take it with you. I have these separate. You may choose to include them and then also ask the questions and take notes so that when they're looking through this, they have time to reflect. I just personally choose not to keep the questions in my presentation, whatever works for you. But I'm taking a lot of notes while we're having this conversation. So I want to know who I'm going to contact when there's showings, if there's issues with the showings, when we're negotiating, who is my primary contact? Because if you've got two people, one person may not be available during the day. When a decision has to be made, I may have to reach out to Mary and not Bob, because Mary's able to answer her phone during the day. Bob has a job that he doesn't have access to his phone. Or if it's a really important decision, I can email them both because Bob's got access to his email. Some people prefer text messages. I'm going to caution you on this. Text messages are a great way to get your message conveyed to someone very quickly, right? There are times where I can't speak on the phone, but I can read a text message and answer you back. But it's also the quickest way to have a misunderstanding and to not have clarity on intention. I let my buyers know right here, there may be times where you ask me a question via text that I'm going to pick up the phone and call you. If it takes more than a sentence or two to explain the answer, I'm going to call you. I'm not going to be negotiating repairs through text messages. We're going to have conversations. Remember, this is a relationship business. I know people like text messages. I like text messages. It's so convenient. It's the quickest way to have an unsatisfied client. Remember, our objective, our long-term objective, is to have client fulfillment. Clients that are happy with the quality of our customer service give us a lot of referrals. Misunderstandings are the quickest way to mix that. And here, I'm going to give you an example. I'm really adamant about the fact that I want the seller to rewire this house. Electrical system is old. Electrical panel, GFCI, I want 3 prongs everywhere, right? We're negotiating back and forth. And then finally the seller comes back to my agent and says, we'll switch out the panel, but we're not changing all the outlets. We're not doing all of this. And my agent texts me and says, this is what the seller is willing to do. Are you okay with that? And I just text back, okay. Now, is that okay? Okay. Or is that okay? Two very different okays. One is not okay. The end result may be the same. I'm not getting all the plugs, all the outlet covers done, GFCIs. I'm just getting the panel done. But having a conversation with my realtor is going to make me feel like I'm heard. And that's a big part of it. Because when I buy this house and then I've got to change all the outlets, what am I doing? I'm just like, oh, my realtor didn't negotiate this for me. Now I've got to spend all this money doing this. And now I'm not happy with Bill. Bill just did whatever he wanted to do, right? But if Bill would have called me on the phone, we had a conversation, I would feel much better about it. Because remember, this is a give and take. We talk about that at the consultation. There may be things that we're going to have to compromise. So then if Bill calls me and says, remember when we talked about where we're going to have to compromise on some things? If you want this house, this is one of those issues that we're going to have to compromise. Now, listen, Rose, if you don't want to move forward, if this is just something that you don't want to do, I'm okay with canceling the contract right now. But if you really want this house, this is a compromise that you're going to need to make. What do you want to do? He gave me ownership of that decision. That text message said, this is what the seller said, you want it or not. See the difference? Buyers want to have control, especially in a market where they don't really have very much control. So that's what I'm going to say about text messaging. Oh, where am I here? Okay. Have you looked into getting pre-approved? We already had that conversation on the phone, right? I told you to bring your pre-approval. And remember when I told you that the agenda, we were going to do a needs analysis. We were going to talk about what's going on in the market. I was going to go over transaction procedures, start to finish. Then we were taking your pre-approval and putting all that in together to schedule showings. You didn't bring your pre-approval. We don't schedule showings. So I don't even ask this question, or I just say you have your pre-approval with you, right? Have you thought about the price range you'd be comfortable with? I don't have time to go into it in this class. Reach out to your PC. However, more than just what that pre-approval, that max price point is, it's what's their monthly payment that they're comfortable with. I know you're pre-approved for 200, but what does that mean for you as a monthly payment? Unless they're paying cash, most people are not really concerned about the price of the home as much as they are what that monthly payment is. Does anybody do a budget for the next 30 years? No, you do it by month. So if I know that my payment, the max payment I want is $1,500, I've got some wiggle room based on taxes. $200,000 house, I told you, is 2 different payments depending on the taxes. This also talks about the leverage they have when looking for houses. So I don't ask what's the max price, I ask what's the max you want as a monthly payment. Here's a great question. I want your feedback on this. Right down here. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see. This might help. If I found a home today that checked off all of your boxes, all of your must-haves, and maybe 1 or 2 of your wants, could you see yourself in a contract today? Would you be ready to write a contract today? We went out this afternoon and it had all of your needs and a couple of your wants. Would you be ready to write a contract today? My answer was, oh no. What are your thoughts on that?
They're not motivated.
Harmony says they're not motivated.
I think it's going to change after they see a house, try to put in an offer or don't get it. If you re-ask that question, the answer is going to be yes, because it's harder than they think to buy a house.
It's a big decision, and I don't make decisions spur of the moment like that. I think that, they're going to want some time to talk about it.
Well,
I think, I think if they say no, you ask why. Is there more information they need?
Very good. There are no wrong answers, but the best answer I'm going to give to Melissa. Always ask why. Because Harmony might be right. They may not be motivated. I had a buyer one time that says, "Oh no, I think I'm going to look at like 50 houses before I put in an offer." I said, "Oh, honey, you got to go work with another realtor first. Come after you've seen 40, then we'll start working together. I'm not showing you 50 houses." Find out what. So that person was not motivated to put it in an offer. However, remember, especially your first timers, this is the most money they've ever spent. This is the most money most people will ever spend. If they've never looked at homes before, they're like, how do I know it's the right one? When I teach this class to the agents in my market center, I use the example of me just needing to buy a dress. Remember when we used to have places to go and we have to go buy a dress, right? I go to the mall and I always go into Macy's, and I go into Macy's and I grab like 10 dresses and I try them on, and I usually will find one. It's the right size. It's the right color. It's the right price. I like how it fits, but I'm still going to ask the sales girl to hang on to it just for an hour because I need to walk through the rest of the mall and see if there's another dress that's better or a better price or that fits nicer, that I like better. 99% of the time, I'm right back at Macy's buying that same dress. But I needed to feel good about my purchase. And we're talking about $100 dress. Imagine $100,000, $200,000. They may need to see a few houses before they feel comfortable putting in an offer. So then the conversation may be, all right, Melissa, I completely understand this is all new and your needs come first. We talked about that. So I'm going to work with you to make you feel comfortable in this process. I also need to let you know now, there may be some homes that you take a look at and you're going to have to make a decision that day. There are already other offers and they're presenting offers that evening at 6 or 7 o'clock. So if you're not willing or able to make a decision that quickly, let's take those houses off your list. When we know that a house is that decision has to be made that day, let's take those houses off your list. Would you be comfortable with that? I let them decide how they want to do this. What I don't want is I don't want them to feel like I'm pressuring them. Okay, we can go see this house, but we got to make a decision today. If you know your buyer is not that person, don't do it. Or reiterate when they send you, I'd like to go see this property. All offers are due on Thursday. Are you available on Wednesday so that you have some time to sleep on it? And then we have time to do a contract and sign it. We've got to plan that too. It's not just about seeing the house. We need time to draw up the contract. And we all know you need your productivity coach to check your contract before you send it off to your buyer. So you need some of that, some time for those steps. If you're telling me that you're going to accommodate me on all these different levels, I'm going to feel so much better about this. And you've already told me at this consultation before we've even looked at one house, even on the screen, that there may be times where I'm going to have to make a decision quickly so that when it comes, it's not a surprise. Because nobody likes those kind of surprises. Okay, so we're setting those expectations now. Let's get to the wish list. Well, why don't we do this? We'll get to the wish list. Let's take a short break and then we'll hit the wish list and go over some of the questions that we're going to ask our buyers. I think that'll be better. How does that sound? You want to take a 10-minute break? We'll come back at 10:05.
Yes.
All right, awesome.
So I'm your buyer. This is my criteria. I would like my ultimate dream is a 3-bedroom.
All right, everyone, let's head back. It's 10:05. All right. Thank you for being so good with your break time too. I know it's easy to get sidetracked answering the phone, doing things, but I appreciate you coming back on time. All right, let's get to it. All right, here we go. So we're going to talk about your home wish list. So this is where we get to ask them a lot of questions about what type of home they're looking for. This is where it becomes a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun with this in your consultations. This does a few things. It, number one, lets you know what your buyers are really looking for. They may not even know what they're looking for. Oftentimes they don't. But another great perk about this part of your consultation is you get to know your buyers better. One of the fun things working with buyers is that you have more opportunity to really get to know these folks, as opposed to sellers where you're going in, you're doing a listing appointment, and then you're, just talking about the transaction. Working with buyers can be a lot of fun. You're laughing, you're joking, and you're referencing some things that you've learned in consultation. You're going to find out what things are important to them, things that they may not even realize they need in a house. So the better you listen and the more questions you ask, the better you'll be able to do your job when you're a buyer's agent. So things like what type of home are you looking for? It may be helpful for you to have a visual, like one sheet. You may want to just have something that you just hand out. You could be something that you include in your presentation. It could be one of the additional items that you hand out to them that has pictures of the different styles of home. Most people know what a ranch is, but what's the difference between a Cape Cod and I don't know, any other type of home? Or what's the difference between a Dutch colonial and a colonial? People don't necessarily know. What is a Tudor? I don't know. I don't know what those are. I know it's a show on Netflix. I don't know what that means in a house. So having that visual is helpful. Then it helps your buyers also take control. It saves you time. You're not going to be sending them styles. If you know that they don't like Dutch colonials, you're not going to send them any of those. Also, very important to know this. Buyers don't always buy what they tell you in the first time they meet you what they want. I was showing buyers, they insisted they wanted a ranch. They bought a 2-story colonial. Ask any experienced agent that you know. Have you ever worked with a buyer that ended up buying something completely different than what they told you they wanted to when they first met with you? Every single one of them will tell you yes. You don't know what you don't know until you get moving, right? And I knew the first time I took them out that they didn't want a ranch. They didn't know. They insisted they did because they were getting, they were like, it was a couple and their 2 children, and the couple, they were in their 50s. And now, before any of you make any 50-year-old comments, I'm 51. But they were planning for the future and being like, well, we're not going to want to do stairs, and our kids are going to be going to college soon. Every ranch, they said it felt small. They ended up buying a 2-story. Your knees still work when you're 50, you're good. They weren't ready for that ranch yet. So you have to observe and listen. So anyhow, so we're going to ask these questions in the hopes of figuring out and helping them figure out what they want. Approximately what square footage would you would you adequately cover your living space? Not everybody knows that. Some people have an estimate of what that means. I have a buyer who told me he wants something 1750 square feet or higher. So I did the search a little bit less. He doesn't know. How is he going to know the difference between 1700 and 1750 or 1650? Come on. So I did the search for a little less. And you'll know, I mean, and some people have no idea. Like I don't always. I've learned it since getting into real estate, but before real estate, I couldn't tell you how many square feet a house was. How many stories do you prefer? What size lot are you looking for? What architectural styles are you drawn to? That visual is going to certainly help them with that.
Rose, I have a quick question.
Of course.
This is gonna like totally single me out as a total newbie, but I'm honestly not like myself super familiar with the different styles of homes.
Mhm.
Do you have a recommendation of like good resources to kind of learn that stuff, or is that kind of just something that I'll learn as I go on and work with different people and things like that?
You know what, I will, we have something in our PC files, you may, but let me, when we have our next little break, when you're doing your script practice, I'll upload our visual so that you have an idea.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Then you can pretty it up. You can go online and you can actually search them. But if you don't know what the different styles are, you don't know what to search for. So, and Lindsay, I appreciate you asking that because I don't think you're the only one who feels like that. So thank you for asking. So I'll upload that into, I don't know, our chat. So you have the link to that. Home styles. Okay.
Can also upload it into our files, I believe, at the end of the class.
Oh, perfect.
Cool.
Would you send me a link of where I can just email it to you if you wanted to do that, if that's easier?
That would be perfect. And then I can place it, there's a place where all the videos are recorded, and so we can put it in that. It's a Google Drive.
Perfect.
I'm excited. I don't have a copy of all of the houses, guys, and this is my 3rd year, so awesome question.
Yes, great, great. See, Lindsay, look how many people you helped. Awesome. All right, type of exterior siding that appeals to you. Things like, do you prefer siding or brick? Do you like stone? For some people, it doesn't matter, but to some people it does, and you don't know until you ask. Do you want a porch, a deck, or both? What are you looking for in terms of a garage? Do you need a garage? Do you want a garage? Attached or detached? Do you want a swimming pool or hot tub? Well, some of these questions are dollar specific, right? If I have a buyer in Western New York that has a budget of $100,000, I'm not asking them about things like in-ground swimming pools and hot tubs. That's not in their price range. So make sure as you're going through that you're mindful of what their pre-approval is. Do you need a fenced-in yard? My answer to that is yes. What's your next question?
How big?
Do you need it fully fenced, partial fence, front, back?
Could be.
Why?
Why is always the question. Always the question. Oh, why is that? You will get so much information asking that one word question. Why? Because I have a dog. What's your next question? Not why, Betsy. That would be my question. No, I love dogs.
Maybe ask them actual questions about the dog, make it a little bit more personal.
Yeah. People who have pets love, love, love their pets, right? You're going to ask, what kind of dog? What's the dog's name? How old is the dog? Things like that. People love to talk about their, if they have a lizard, you're going to ask them about their lizard. Listen, I know somebody who has, but I mean, it's like this big thing, and she'll take pictures, and it's, I mean, you would think it was a cat. She loves this. But the important thing for me as a realtor when she's a buyer is to know about her lizard, because they need these huge cages. They need a space for that. A large dog needs a fenced in yard so they can run. If it's little, one of those little yippy ones, they don't need necessarily. Maybe just a dog run is enough. I call them little yippy. My mom always had the little ones, little Shih Tzus or Pomeranians, the little nip, nip, nip. All right. So asking them questions about that, that fence is important. Why? All right, next. Interior, what style do you envision for the interior of your home? Formal, casual, traditional? What type of floor plan do you prefer? Open floor plan versus, I call it choppy, but it's not. Not people who don't like open floor plans don't call it choppy. Like that, there's defined rooms. There is just the kitchen, and then the living room is here and the dining room is there. You're going to ask them what they want. One of the things I just read a couple of weeks ago is that open floor plans are on their way out. People want those defined rooms. You know why? Because of COVID, y'all been around each other too much. People want to get away from each other. Those open floor plans were great when we all left the house every day and came back for only 2 hours or 3 hours. Now it's 6 months in and you're like, can you get away? So ask them what they're looking for. I didn't make that up. I actually read that. I knew, but they didn't say why, but I knew why. Bathrooms. How many bathrooms do you need? Now, I may tell you I want 2 full bathrooms. Do you need 2 full bathrooms, Rose, or would 1 full bath and a half bath work? Nope, I need 2 full. Okay. Do you need a first floor bathroom? You know, if 1 bathroom is enough, does it have to be on the first floor or can it be on the second? Bedrooms, how many bedrooms do you need? How will the bedrooms be used? I may tell you I want a 3-bedroom property. How am I going to use those 3 bedrooms? Are they all going to be used as bedrooms? If one is an office, what if instead I found you a 2-bedroom house that had what we call a bonus room? It means it doesn't have a closet. It's not considered a bedroom, but it might work for an office. It might be a little bit less than a 3-bedroom house. Oh yeah, that would work. Then you're going to have to talk about resale. 2-bedroom homes are not as desirable as 3-bedroom, but a lot of people are still looking for 2 bedrooms. I haven't had any issues finding buyers for 2-bedroom houses, especially if you've got a bonus room. So knowing how it's going to be used is essential. Kitchens, what are your general preferences for a kitchen? What features must your kitchen have? What finishes do you like? Will your, oh wow, they're asking some fancy questions in here. You're gonna have a farmhouse sink, a butcher block countertop, custom measures. Again, be mindful of what your buyer's budget is. If they have a budget for $1 million, these are absolutely questions you're going to ask them. 100%. You need to know the type of materials, the type of cabinetry they like, flooring, all of that. The bigger the budget, the more they're specific about what they're looking for. But if you've got a budget of 105,000, you're going to look, your priorities are different. So know your clients. Living rooms. What do you do when you come home, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Are you TV watchers? Now a lot of people are TV watchers, but they're not always going to be TV watchers. When you come home and it's summertime, do you watch television? Are you outdoors? Is a deck? You want to know what their lifestyle is like. Some people are not TV watchers, but they get on the computer and they're on the computer all night. Find out what they do and then find a house that meets that need. And when you see that house, you're touring that house, you're going to be able to say, oh, do you think all of your stuff will fit in here? Or you told me you have a large screen, big screen TV. Is this wall large enough? Is this where you would put, tell me where you would put the television. Get them engaged in that. But knowing what they do when they come home from work, or if they're working from home, what their needs are. Some people may be looking for a larger home because now 2 people in the house work from home, which when they bought the house 4 years ago, nobody was working from home. And not only do they need to work from home, they need to be away from each other so that they don't hear each other, right? My sister and brother-in-law are in that situation now. They weren't like that before COVID. And now they tried to share the office. It didn't work. He's in meetings all day long. And then she'll have some meetings. So it was getting frustrating. They physically had to figure out how they could find different workspaces. That's a real problem. Our job is to solve problems. So knowing what the layout is during the day is going to help you solve that problem for them. Also, it's not in here, but here's a great question. Tell me something you like about where you live right now. Tell me what you like about either your current home or if they're renting. Tell me something you like. It could be the neighborhood. It could be that they have a large living room, or they love the kitchen, or they love that their offices are on opposite sides of the house. That's important to know. I love my yard, but the house is too small. That's going to give you great insight. Do you want a fireplace? How big is your living room furniture? I always ask that. Some people will tell you it doesn't matter because we're going to get all new stuff, which is where you tell them what? Not until after closing. If you order that furniture, you're going to open up a new credit card, you're not going to have a house to put it in. You will have no living room. You'll have beautiful furniture, no living room. That's what you're going to keep over and over, right? Dining room. What size dining room? Do you have a large dining room table? Is a dining room important? Can it be an eat-in kitchen? Do you entertain a lot? I know we don't right now, but things will go back to normal at some point. Do you usually have a lot of people over for Thanksgiving? Are you hosting any holidays at your house? Do you need that? Neighborhood preference. What area would you prefer to live in and why? I may want Amherst because of the school district. Do you need a park nearby? Do you want to be close to anything in particular? If you don't work in the home, how long of a commute are you looking for? Is being near shopping or gyms, any of those things? Is there anything that you need to be near? What do you do for fun? I say to you, I want to live in Amherst, but not that part of Amherst. I don't want to see anything from like Sheridan and Millersport. I don't want anything around there. I don't like there. I don't want to be over there. Is that okay? Is that fair housing issue?
Not if they say it, right?
That's right, Colin. Absolutely. You can't tell me I don't want to be around Sheridan and Millersport. I can tell you, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm buying a house. I can pick the neighborhood I want to live in for any reason whatsoever. You just can't tell me that I don't want that. Unless there's something specific, like you don't want to be over here in this development because you cannot build a fence around your yard. And you told me a fenced in yard is essential for your dogs.
Oh,
That you can tell me specifically because I told you I require a fenced in yard. And you know I can't fence my yard over there. It does not fit my needs. That is totally fine. You know, unless you don't mind, then we can go ahead. No, I need that fenced in yard. All right. Getting to know your neighborhood. Let's see what this one is. Your neighborhood is an extension of your home. Remember that you can search, save, and organize your favorites on my website. This is where you talk about your website and you can talk about your app. Does everybody have their website and their app up and running? If you don't, reach out to your technology coordinator. Make sure that that's all set up for you. It's there. You just have to do some things to it. And then you need to know what your link is so that you can share it. We want people, tell me, why do we want our clients to use our app instead of any of the others that are out there without saying anything negative about any one particular one?
We can see what they're doing if they're logged in.
Yeah, I see everything you're doing. Why is that important?
Well, it keeps you at the top of mind too, because they see your branding every time they look on there.
Yeah. And different than a third-party apps, if your client is on your app and they see a house they like, they can send that to you directly. Whereas if they're on a third-party app and they see a property and it says, would you like more information? They click on that, that inquiry goes to a different agent who's buying leads in that zip code. So we want to keep them here. One of the things that you're going to tell your buyers is that your app is linked directly to your local MLS. So if it's available, it's on my app. If you drove by a house and you see a sign in front of it and it's not showing up on my app, it's probably under contract. And only active listings are showing up. Under contract and pending are not going to show up for you.
Rose,
Yes.
that's a problem for me because I am at the very lower end of the Rochester area.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the houses in my area are listed under Elmira Corning. So I kind of have to be careful.
Oh.
I have to look both places when I'm searching for houses.
Yeah. Yeah. We have some agents that like at Southern Erie County goes into Chautauqua and Cattaraugus County. Sometimes they have that issue. We merged, so most of their information is into ours. But before we did that, we had that same concern on those border counties as well. All right, so mapping, I'm going to show you this. If you're doing a presentation for every different buyer that you do, you're going to use these neighborhood insights. When you take your class with your technology coordinator, or if you check out on KW Connect, you're going to see how you can personalize these based on that neighborhood. Next we have on here, this is essential. And this I'm going to say you really need to get together with your productivity coach to make sure that your order is correct. This is page 1 and page 2, how buying a home works. This is the transaction from start to finish. However, New York State, we have attorney review. I don't believe this talks about attorney review. Your steps may be different than my steps in Western New York. Certainly different parts of the country are different. When I was in Pennsylvania, it was customary when we wrote an offer to also include an earnest money deposit. In Western New York, we don't do that. We do not give earnest money deposit until after inspections. That may be a regional thing for you. Know what the order is of your transaction, write it out, and have your PC review it. And then know this. You're going to learn this by taking your contracts class. You know your contract. You know from start to finish who does what and what the timeline is. Being able to go over this with your buyer at the consultation does so much for you. Number one, it shows your value. Because as a buyer, here's what I think. I'm going to look at some houses. We're going to write a contract, do an inspection, and then I'm going to close. When you show me all the different contingencies, all the different steps, everything that you take care of, I go, oh, wow, I need Betsy. I can't do this alone. There's a lot more to this than I thought. Also, knowing who does what and what the timeline is shows your knowledge. It gives me confidence in your ability to assist me. Even if it's your first house, if I'm your very first client and I don't know you're new, but you tell me about this transaction from start to finish, I'm going to think you sold 100 houses already. It's the confidence with which you speak and the knowledge that you give. Knowing every part of this transaction, when the earnest money is due, when inspections, attorneys, what's happening during the mortgage process. This takes time to learn. But once you have this and you keep going over and over, that in conjunction with your contract, those two things right there are going to be what's going to be able to convey that information to your prospective buyers. Then we have yes.
I just wanted to help clarify something. The app will show the entire country's listings, not just the MLS that you belong to. That is part of how they restructured it. So for you, Betsy, you should be able to see, in fact, that can be a selling point to your clients that live in those border areas, that they will be able to see homes listed in both Rochester and in the Almeyer Corning board. Because I'm in the same area. We have houses, if I have people go up towards the lakes, they're not going to be listed in Almeyer Corning. They're going to be listed in either Ithaca or in Rochester. So it's actually the best part, I think, about the app is that you can see all the inventory.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I told you all, I'm not the IT person. I'll help you sell a house. That is great to know. Thank you. Now, see, my goal is to learn something new every day. When we're done with Ignite, I can go home. I'm done. See, I learned my one thing. Financing your future home. This talks about financing, home loans made easier. Again, this is one I haven't looked at this presentation. So, New York State, we don't have Keller Mortgage, and this talks about Keller Mortgage here. So make sure that you edit your presentation to remove anything about Keller Mortgage. It's just not a service that we can provide yet. Real value, real experience. This talks about Keller Williams. So you may or may not want to use this, right? If you are less than a year in the business, you can change some of these. You can put market center statistics in there. This talks about, this is our Y4C2Ts. So you can tweak that. You have the LORE, language of real estate, LORE, provided by your market center every month. Reach out to your PC or your MCA for that. If you make sure you attend your team meetings, I'm sure you all go over the LORE at your team meetings. If you can't make your team meetings, then reach out to your MCA and ask for a copy of it. Ask If you look at it and you're not quite sure, reach out to your PC. That's why we're here, to help you understand that. You can put those statistics in here. What those statistics are is that says how our market center is doing compared to our local board. And that we see consistently that Keller Williams is outpacing the board, the rest of the realtors in our market area. So we go year over year, and we see in any given month. So in January, we went over December's numbers, and we knew whether or not we listed, if we are outpacing the board on listings or not, if we're outpacing the board on written contracts and closings. It shows where we stand, our market share in our local area. So know what those are. Maybe you can pop those in here instead. The proof is in the numbers. Your trusted partner, my promise, a promise to you, a promise to the community. These are just all things on the left. Searching safely. I'm assuming this is getting into some COVID things. Remember, we have to adhere to the COVID requirements and restrictions for our state. Socially distancing tours, contactless transactions. For a long time last year, for those of you who weren't licensed yet, for a long time in 2020, we were showing properties without our clients with us. Had them right here on the phone, like this. People still needed to buy, people still needed to sell. They were not allowed in the houses yet. So that's how we did it. We got really creative. So fortunately for all of you that have joined real estate since then, we figured it all out. You just jump right in and follow those rules. Make sure you speak to your PC about what your local, what the way that you're doing this locally, and to make sure that you are clear on what the state allows us to do. Bottom line, and then my app. Here is something great that I think everybody should include in here. I don't care if this is the first house or the 21st house that you're, well, 21st, they probably don't need it, but the first or the fifth house that your buyers are buying, having like a glossary at the end, these commonly used terms. This is great. What's the difference between a down payment and earnest money deposit? People get that confused. Now they know. They will probably read through this. There are some people that are going to read every single word. And then there are some people that are going to skim through and just hit the highlights. And then there's some that won't even open it up again. But you've given them that resource. And here is where you're going to put your contact information again. Even though they've got your card, you're in their phone. It just looks professional. Have it here. If you have affiliated businesses. So that is your consultation presentation. So I'm going to suggest something else to you. Create this and have it printed out for you. It's like $6 at Office Max or Office Depot. If you have a Staples by you, it's pretty competitive. Have it printed out with a cardstock on the outside and just really nice paper on the inside. It really, my people know this. I'm the cheapest realtor you will ever meet. Cheapest realtor. But there's places that we want to invest some money. And $6, if you get a coupon, it could be like $5. Look for those Office Max and Staples coupons. Go there and talk to somebody. If this is not your thing, go there. I did that. I love creating marketing material, but it takes me a little bit longer than somebody who does that professionally. I just like the creative side of it. But then when I went to go print it out, I brought my info with me to Office Max, and I spoke with the person who runs the printing department, and she helped me. She told me how I was going to order it online, what type of paper. I literally sat there and touched paper, because how something feels when you're given a presentation matters. If they've talked to any other buyer's agents, I guarantee they haven't done what we just went over right now. And then when you hand them this beautiful presentation that feels nice and it has all this information, you have presented yourself as the professional. You've shown value, you've shown knowledge, and you've showed a commitment to what their needs are, right? So spend a couple of dollars and print these out and then just have them there. So it's just a grab and go. Once we've completed this, that's when I go into the market. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I'd like to talk to you about the market. So it's a seller's market. What does that mean? Everybody knows it's a seller's market. What does that mean for you? That means that the inventory is very low, but the amount of buyers is high. So then what happens? What happens when the amount of homes go down, but the amount of buyers goes up?
Prices go up.
Every single person says that when I do that. If you're not a visual person, if you're not like me, you all notice this by now. I talk with my hands a lot. When you do this, everybody will say the prices go up. You need to engage your buyers in this conversation. Do not just talk at them, ask them questions, get them, because when you tell me the prices go up, you cannot then complain about the prices going up 10 minutes from now when we look at the prices, because we've already discussed why the prices went. You told me the prices go up because the amount of inventory is low, right? So you're going to engage them. So the inventory is low. We need to talk about your leverage. Let's look at your pre-approval. And then we talk about, okay, so you're approved for 175 and you're looking in this area. If you want, well, at least in Western New York, what we do is if you are approved for 175, you have to, depending on the area, you have to look at houses that are listed for like 150, 155 to give you leverage so that you can bid, you can put in a winning bid, because most areas are going at least 20,000 over what the asking price is. We tell them that's a starting point. So know what your market is. You can get that from your team meetings, meeting with your PC, all of the resources you have in your market center. Know what's going on in your immediate area and have that conversation with your buyers about how they can leverage their approval in order to get their offers accepted. My goal, Mr. Buyer, is to get you the house that you want. If you're approved for 175, if we look at houses that are priced at 175, you're already out of the running. And I want you to consider this statement. Instead of saying, seller's not going to accept your offer is going to be too low, right? We're making it sound like the seller's doing something wrong. Oh, no, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you are looking at a house that's 175 and your max is 175, the other buyers are not going to let you have the house at that price. Because that's really who is not going to let them have the house. It has nothing to do with the seller. If you're the only offer, the seller will give it to you for 175. The problem's not the seller. The problem is the 27 other offers. Those 27 other buyers aren't going to let you get that house for 175. So let's be clear on why we're making these offers, why we're starting at the place that we are. So you've gone through, so you're going to go over the what's going on in the market, explain what a seller's market is, how we're going to leverage them, and then say, I would love to work with you. If you are ready, if you would like to work with me, I say we get started. And of course, now you've spent all this time creating a rapport. They've told you that, they're couch potatoes with a lizard and, what they want, how much money. You're it. You're their buyer's agent. They're not going to walk into an open house and start this procedure all over again when they meet another agent. You're it. That's when you're going to go over your agency disclosure. You're going to get that buyer's agency agreement signed. And a good way for that transition is when you go over that agency disclosure, you're going to talk about the loyalty of the seller's agent, the loyalty of the buyer's agent, my loyalty to you. You're going to use that word several times. Once they sign that agency agreement, you're going to then say, okay, so this agency agreement talks about my loyalty to you. This next form is your loyalty to me. That's the great introduction to it.
Rose, I have a quick question.
Sure.
I had a coworker approach me and wanted to start looking to buy houses. She was sending me houses daily. We waited for the pre-approval, which came through Friday. And then the minute I brought up signing any agreements, I haven't heard from her since. How would I approach that?
So did you do a buyer consultation with her?
We did a little Zoom online about like her wants and needs. And I said, once we get the pre-approval, because she kept sending me houses, I explained to her with COVID and the pre-approval, we have to wait to go see houses. And then on Friday, I was like, oh, we do have a couple forms we need to go over. When would you like to meet in person to go over those? And I haven't heard from her since.
So my guess is she thinks she's signing her life away already.
Okay.
Right. So if we do this at the consultation, it's just part of that consultation, right? Because what I say is that we've got some housekeeping items to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I explain it. We're doing agency, we're doing COVID disclosure, we're doing fair housing disclosure. Some people don't like signing things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would reach out and say, just reach out again and say, hey, just checking in on you. You've got your pre-approval. Want to know when you wanted to get started looking at homes and to re-engage. And then if she sends you something, say, okay, I've got some, the state needs me to send you some disclosures. With COVID and different things, I've got to have you sign some disclosures. They need to be signed before we go into any properties, but you've got to re-engage her with that. I wouldn't say anything about those. If you did a Zoom, if you did it, an appointment and say, maybe let's do this over Zoom because I have some questions about your listings, so that you can do a screen share. And that's when you go, okay, we've got some housekeeping items to do. I've got to do some disclosures with you.
Okay.
And then just lead into it that way.
Okay. And should I bring up, if you don't feel comfortable at any point, we can, rip up this agreement. It's just kind of for, like I said, a loyalty purpose. Should I bring that into the conversation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can do that. I used to do that as well. And I would say something like, listen, if you decide at some point that this isn't working and you don't want to work with me, you just let me know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then we'll just expire this out. We'll just terminate this agreement. Just let me know. But give me the opportunity to, if there's an issue, let me know first and give me that opportunity to fix whatever the issue is.
Okay.
Usually people aren't going, by the time you get to this part in your buyer consultation, people aren't going to care.
Mm-hmm.
They're already ready to go, right? They're excited now. You've talked about this dream house of theirs. You've told them about the market, how you're going to help them leverage. Now they're ready. They're like, fine, where do you need me to sign?
Thank you.
And then you're going to make sure you do your COVID disclosure and your fair housing disclosure, right? All right. Questions so far on where we are with our consultation? All right. So once I do the housekeeping, I say, okay, who wants to look at some houses? And that's when I pull up the MLS on our smart TV in the conference room, so that we're all looking at the same thing and I can schedule some appointments there. Boom, we're done with that. And have fun with it. Have some fun with your consultations. It's fun getting to know people, right? Okay. Where are we now? Conduct the buyer consultation. Just finish that.
So Rose?
Yes, ma'am.
So at this point, because inventory is so low, when you get to that point in a buyer's consultation, and there's nothing in their price range in the area where they want to live, how do you handle that?
Well, my guess is if there's nothing in their price range, they probably already know that. So are there homes in other places that are in their price range? If it has to be that area and that's their max budget, then I say, well, I'm going to put you on an auto search. Anything that comes up that meets your criteria, you'll get an email, and it may take a little while. When in the beginning, and it wasn't in this presentation, I always ask, what's your timeline? When do you want to be in the property? So if I'm meeting with clients and here it is the end of January and they told me that they need to be in a property in that area April 1st, and I know it takes 60 days from contract to close, what happens if we can't get you in there April 1st? And see what they say. That's not going to work. I don't know. I have to be there. Okay, so where can we leverage? Can we get a higher pre-approval? This may not happen for you. This may not be the market for you. And we never want to say that to anybody, but sometimes we have to have those honest, tough conversations. There are buyers that honestly in this current market in New York that have had to step out of the market for a little bit. They just didn't have the leverage to compete. They needed sellers' concessions. They wanted to be in an area that they could not afford right now. They had to save some more money so that they could be competitive. And having a good loan officer that can help them be creative, maybe there are some grants for some of the towns. Maybe there's a grant for the town that they want to be in that can help give them a little more money to close. That's something to look into. Having a good loan officer that you can talk to that knows what some of their resources are might help. Maybe they can qualify for a different type of loan. Maybe a Sunny Mae or a USDA loan might help them with some of the financing to help them maybe afford a little bit more house. But if it's not there, it's not there. The other thing that you can do, show some initiative, and Betsy, maybe look up some expired properties that might fit their criteria and reach out to them directly. Now, we all know that we are not allowed to call for sale by owners or expired listings to solicit listings. However, if you have an identifiable buyer, you may reach out to them. So what if, Betsy, you looked around the neighborhood that they wanted and houses that expired around their price range, and see if maybe those sellers are still interested in buying or selling. That also gives your people the edge because they don't have the competition of multiple offers. Sometimes we've got to think a little bit outside of the box, but sometimes that answer is this may take longer than what we thought. But reassure them, I'm going to be looking every day for you. And when something comes up, and if you see something, let me know. We're in this together. It may not be easy, but we'll do this. Reassuring them that you're not just going to ignore them. That's going to help, right? I'm here for you. Okay, let's come back. Let's take a couple minute break. I'm going to get some scripts together here. I want you to get your Spark and your Elemental script books for 11 o'clock. And then we're going to go off into rooms together and do some script practicing for 30 minutes. All right, I'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.
Rose,
Yes, ma'am.
how many people would you like in the breakout room? We have a slightly uneven number. So if I do 6 breakout rooms, we'll have one group would have 3 people.
We can make that work.
Okay. So I'm just going to let it automatically select if that works.
Works for me.
All right. And for everyone else, if you guys have something you need Rose or I, if you put in the chat to everyone, we should be able to see that while you're in the breakout room, and I'll keep that open and monitor it.
Okay, good. Yeah, if you're like put in a room and the other person isn't there or something, I know we had that last time. Someone got a call and someone was by themselves. So just let us know and then we'll just put you in another room with someone.
So when I see everyone back, I'll actually do create, and it takes about 20 seconds to move you all over.
Perfect. So I'm going to go over the scripts themselves. And what I'm going to do is get your feedback and tell me what, or I'll give you the option of 2 different ones. And I'd love your feedback to know what you think you would prefer. So here we have, this is our Elementals script book. So if we start our scripts on page 13, and there's a couple in here that I think apply to what we did today. And it depends on what your comfort level is, where you feel you would like some more practice. Asking for the buyer consultation is one of the ones. But here's 2 that I'm going to see what you all would prefer. Closing for the agreement. Asking for that buyer's agency agreement signature. Right? So do we want to, you can do it a couple ways. Like the way I introduce it is I talk about loyalty and then I go into the loyalty. This has some good scripts as well. So closing for the buyer representation number 1, what we're going to do now is sign the buyer representation agreement, which puts me to work for you. You're giving me the tool I need to represent you in your purchase. With this tool, I have the opportunity to negotiate for you and get you the best deal. And getting the best deal is important to you, isn't it? Perfect. Then let's do the right thing. Sign this agreement. Option 2 is, can you see how it would benefit you to have a professional looking out for your best interests as you search for the best home and negotiate to get the best deal? Great. This form allows me to represent you and look out for your best interests. Here's how we take care of that. You just need to be okay with this agreement right here. So tweak it, right? I mean, absolutely tweak these. This doesn't sound like the way any of us talk specifically, but it's not intended to. If there's 10 of us in here, we're all going to say this differently. Like I wouldn't end this with, you just need to okay this agreement right here. This form allows me to represent you and look out for your best interests. I love that, because that's exactly what this gives me permission to do. Here with this tool, I have the opportunity to negotiate and get you the best deal. So what am I doing here? I'm showing you the benefits of this form. Also, I have to say, when making this seem like a big deal, sometimes you get a little pushback, because if you're uncomfortable, other people are uncomfortable. Like, if Melissa looks like she's uncomfortable presenting this form to me, I'm like, what is she making me sign? Right? If you're uncomfortable, I'm going to be uncomfortable. But if you can present this form the same way you present that COVID disclosure and that fair housing disclosure, then I know that it's okay. There is nothing wrong with this form, but a lot of us are uncomfortable asking for the loyalty of the people that we give loyalty to. It's just another form. If you introduce it the way you introduce everything else, but no, people get that vibe from you. They see your body language. If we're going over agency disclosure and I'm talking to you like this, and then I go like this, and then here's this other form, you know something's up. I don't want to sign that form. I don't care if my own attorney hands me a form like that. I'm not signing that thing. Be comfortable with it. The other option I'm going to give you today is objections to setting a buyer appointment. Things like, I don't have time to come to the office. Can't you just meet me at the house? Because your time is so valuable. That's exactly why we need to get to the office, together in the office. See, the 25 minutes we're going to spend in the office is literally going to save you 5 to 10 hours of looking at the house. When we get together at the office, I'll be able to pull up every property that matches your specific criteria, and we'll be able to view those photos and virtual tours at my office before taking time to drive by, or even better, spending you the gas money to drive by. So when's the best time to come to the office? So of those two, either the objection to the setting the appointment or reviewing the buyer agency agreement, which ones would you prefer? All for buyer agency, introduction of the buyer agency, raise your hand if you'd prefer that script. 2 people. Who would prefer the script of the objection to getting to the office? All right, so let's do that one. Remember, you can do these script practice with someone in your office if you want to do that buyer agency one. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on that objection. Remember, okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do this for 30 minutes. For 15 minutes, you are the agent and your partner is your potential client. We're going to be kind to each other. You're not going to be nasty, but you're going to give a little bit of pushback, right? And you're going to do this over, you're not doing one script for 15 minutes. You're going to do it until it feels like it's run its course. Then you're going to have a conversation about it. What felt good, what didn't. As your partner, you're the agent, I'm your friend. As your partner, I might give you some feedback. You know, this was, I liked when you said this, but maybe this you might want to say a little differently. Let's try that again. And then so you practice it again. The next 15 minutes, we switch roles. I'm the agent and you're my potential client. So remember, the next step is we're going to get to the office and do this. So let's practice those. So we're going to work with scheduling the buyer consultation. There's a couple other objections there if you want to explore those, but you'll see the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to feel with those objections. All right, so we're going to send you off in separate rooms, and then we'll be back in 30 minutes. And I'm not going in a room, right? Okay. Oh, awesome.
So Rose, you have the ability to move in and out of the rooms if you want to.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna have myself on mute in case my children start shrieking.
Okay.
The fun of working from home.
I know. Awesome. Okay, very good. And so is there a timer in there for 30 minutes to bring them back out?
I think I have to do it automatically. So I'll just think that we'll do it at 11:40. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Yeah, so 11:40, I'll set my own timer and I'll move them back.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like that is everyone. So how did that go? Tell me, would anybody like to share how their script practice went?
I'll be honest, Rose, a lot of these objections I've already come across, so that's really good to know what to say now because I kind of freeze like a deer in the headlights and I'm like,
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad.
I agree.
Go ahead, Betsy, and then we'll hear from Stephen.
I agree that, I've already run across some of these objections, and practicing them with somebody who understands is a whole lot easier than practicing them with a potential buyer.
Yeah, we don't like to practice on our buyers. This is way safer and way more fun, less stressful. Excellent. Stephen?
Well, I was saying that I was telling the other two that I was with that I didn't even know, like I knew with the Ignite, the Spark, we have, scripts there. And I was telling them when I was talking with potential clients and dealing with these objections, I'm like, I wish there was a script for this. Like, I don't know what to say. But then I saw the Elementals have their own script book. I'm like, oh, well, that makes a lot more sense. So, yeah, this stuff does help out. And I've already had to kind of like implement that with, a couple people already. So definitely just need to practice.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot. So remember that first part of the first half of Ignite and Spark, you were looking to get an appointment. Elementals is digging down that we've got those appointments. Explore that script booked a little bit. You may find that there are other scripts in there that you may find useful, and implement those. Make sure you have a script partner that you practice with every week. Use those scripts. Anyone else like to share?
I partnered with Melissa, and I think she did a really good job. So we've gone through the script, and I'd never seen them, and I don't think she'd ever seen the script before. But reading through them at first, and then kind of finding the words to adapt to how to you and how you speak. A couple of them were a little awkward. Just kind of had to like, okay, this is going to like you're saying too much before the other person has something to say. And then one of them, like we mentioned, a marriage and dating and all of that. Everybody's not comfortable with that analogy. but Melissa, she did really good. Like whatever she said, I like wanted to write it down because it was perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
It was fun. We had fun.
Yeah, script practice can be a lot of fun. I'm glad that you all jumped in and did this and and feel like you walked away with something. Tell me, let's share some ahas from today. Anything from today's buyer consultation class that you're going to walk away with and say, oh, I'm going to do that, or I really liked that, or that was good to know.
Can you guys hear me?
Larissa?
Hey, so what I was talking about earlier with my partner was like, it's so awesome now with all this technology, like a lot of these objections, we can kind of, be like, hey, I know you don't have the time, but we can do this virtually, like we can email all the documents, use DocuSign, and do it like a buyer's consult virtually, which is really awesome, which we wasn't able to do beforehand. So that kind of helps to, get over a lot of objections when it's like, oh, I don't have the time, or I have kids, like I don't want to find a babysitter, all those kind of different, objections people can have. We can kind of be like, hey, well, I understand that we could do a Zoom meeting, 25 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. Awesome. Great.
Mine is kind of more of I think through it, like with everything going on, mine is just to like have fun with it. Like make sure you have fun with it. Don't you got to make sure you have fun to make sure everybody's comfortable with. If you're tense about everything, no one's gonna want to do anything. Like it's just gonna be a business thing instead of personal. This is a big step in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Johnny, that's a great point. You're going to spend a lot of time with your buyers in any market, but especially this market, letting your buyers, depending on what it is in your market area. We tell our buyers here when we start working with them, you're probably going to bid on 4 or 5 houses before you get a contract accepted. So they know they're in for the long haul. So if they get the second contract accepted, they feel like a huge win, but they're not deflated when they lose the first one. Is setting that expectation, but being able to have fun with it, have fun in the consultation, just getting to know somebody, and then having fun when you're meeting out with them is great. Your buyers you're going to spend so much time with, you feel like they're your friends when you're done. And that's what we're like. This is a relationship business. And this is how we start building that relationship with people that we don't know. And even people that we do know, we just get to know them on a different level. So, yeah, being relaxed and easygoing is going to make a very potentially stressful situation a lot more fun for your buyers. And Johnny, you look like you're going to be a fun realtor to see houses with and hang out with. So awesome. You bring that great energy to it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else have any ahas they'd like to share?
I like what you...
Sorry, Lindsay. Go on.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
I like what you said about like when you're doing the agency agreement that, you know, if your client feels your stress, like they might be stressed about like, what is this I'm signing? So just keep it casual, like it's the COVID form or the FHA. It's just a matter of business. We got to do this and we can go look at some houses.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Well, awesome. I'm so glad that you joined me this morning. I have had a lot of fun hanging out with you this morning. Let's make sure, wrong way. Let's make sure that we take care of the last few things here to set us up for the rest of the day. We've done our ahas. You're going to do your daily success habits, right? Our goal is to get 10 contacts into our database, have 10 conversations, 10 handwritten notes. If you talk to somebody, you must give a handwritten note. You know, who here is a Bills fan? All right.
Bills? They're all into it now.
I know. It's a rough morning here in Buffalo for some of us. Watching the game last night, there was something that stuck out to me, and I don't remember which player it was. Coach, one of our players, wasn't doing very well after one of the games, and was really just down on himself. And you know, and you get in your head a lot, right? As a professional athlete and as realtors. We get into our head a lot when we're not performing the way that we want to. And our coach had written him a handwritten note of encouragement and told him that you are awesome, stick with this, you're doing great, I'm here for you. And they talked about this. They said that he carries it with him and he looks at it before every game. Never underestimate the power of a handwritten note. Even to, you know, rough football players who get their butt kicked every day, like that was impactful to him. So when we talk to somebody, obviously not every one of our handwritten notes are going to, you know, be earth shattering, but they do stick out. Know that it's something that we get so rarely. So to get a handwritten note from somebody that simply says, it was great catching up with you. Here's one of my business cards. Please share it. I appreciate you and helping me grow my business. Little things like that are going to be the thing that define you and differentiate you from other realtors in the business. I promise you. And make sure you're looking at the inventory, preview those homes. Start with what's listed with your market center, and then look at what's listed in the area that you want to work in. And let's make sure you get your lead gen in for today. After all of this, now let's go get some more appointments. All right. Well, I have enjoyed my day with you this morning. Let's go out and get some appointments. And I will not be, maybe I'll see you all the next session. This is my last one for this session of Ignite. Enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you're getting a lot out of Ignite. If you need anything, my email is rose@rosedgeorge.com. Please feel free to reach out. And remember, don't ask me any command questions. I'm not your IT person, but I'll help you sell a house.
Thanks, Rose.
Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you for all of your help. I appreciate it.
I love the new command design. That was what I was going to say. I learned something today too. Those are new, and I'm in command designs a lot. I do a lot of our smaller stuff for the brokerage, and that presentation is new, and now I'm going to share it with the rest of the group. So thank you.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I've been playing, like, I have one that I really, really like, but I like that there's more in there because it fits everyone's personality. I wish, I mean, honestly, I know how to edit those, but it really would add like another hour to the class. Like, I don't want to be.
Yeah, no, it's a little complex. I was playing with it during the class because I hadn't seen it, and they've updated a whole bunch of parts for the print stuff, and it's really a lot cleaner. You used to get stuck with all the pages.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it made things really difficult to edit out because some stuff just doesn't apply to either my business or to our area. So,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. So thank you so much. And it was wonderful to hear your class, and thank you for teaching.
All right, and I'll send you my the home styles chat. I just got on the phone during the break, so I wasn't able to do that, but I'll send that out to you.
Yeah, if you send it to me, I'll make sure it gets to the right place. And I did email Andrea about starting a Facebook group, so we'll see how they want to handle that.
Great. What's the email address you'd like me to send those home styles to?
The same one I emailed you to, the laurengrowth@kw.com.
Okay, very good.
Perfect.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You
Bye-bye.
too.